Hi guys, it's Amy, your golf coach. Professional tour players have a full understanding of their wrist action in the downswing and have a great control over them, whereas a lot of amateur golfers don't have the exact grasp of how your hand should move. Or when you do have that understanding, I noticed that a lot of golfers don't have full control over that wrist action. So to help you become a true single-digit hat hip golfer, I'm going to Aimeefy your wrist action in the downswing. Let's get Aimeefied. We talked about lagging and releasing in the last couple lessons. When I start teaching the lag and release for those of you who cast, now, a lot of golfers tend to ask me this question. What is the difference between casting and releasing? It's because they feel when they're lagging and then they're releasing this wrist angle, they can't quite tell the difference between casting and releasing because you're releasing that wrist angle, right? So here's a really good visual. Ta-da! My favorite tool in the bag seems like. Okay, for casting, when you come down, you're going to go ahead and move this racket up and downward. Like as if you're hammering down a nail. You're gonna go boom, your hand is going to go up and down this way, right? Let me show you a close-up. So casting is like this. When you have a hammer, you will go up and down this way. Boom, this way. Okay? Whereas release is you come down and then you release. You're rolling that palm over, rolling that over, turning the palm over. Release is you're holding that leg and then right around the impact zone, your palm or your hand starts rotating like that. I would compare that to putting jam on your toast. When you put the jam on the toast, you are rolling that knife blade over to make sure you spread that jam into every corner of the toast, right? Like you're rolling that blade beautifully, boom, under so much control, right? So that up and down movement versus rotating your hand, completely different direction of movement. Do you see that? Those two are a huge difference. Look at that club face. This is equaling the actual club face. When you come down, you usually cast because you're early extending. When your chest is going farther away from the ball, you're like, uh-oh, I'm going to whiff the ball. So you go ahead and go, boom, hammer it down, cast it down so you can catch the ball without whiffing it. Or it could be because you started casting to add some kind of club head speed the incorrect way. You're like, uh-oh, I'm going to now hit like 2 feet behind the golf ball because I'm casting. You end up have to early extend. You can see how I get tippy toe by looking at my Salted Smart insoles. So usually casting goes with early extension. Egg first, chicken first, it doesn't really matter. They usually go in a combination. So that's casting. Whereas if you release, now you're able to shift beautifully. So those two usually go together. Really great way shift to lag, and then the hand rotates around. But from here, if you don't have a full control over the rotation of your hand and you go, now that's a flip, isn't it? That racket facing downward means your club face is completely shut, okay? That's a flip. We don't want flip. I've explained that in the released video, so you know exactly what a flipping is. Flipping is a no-no. Casting is a no-no. So we have that release. So boom, downward this way, boom, rotation this way. Without control is flipping. Now there's one more wrist action, scooping. Just like ice cream scooping, your palm is going under and over to add loft. Scooping is usually used during flop shots, bunker shots, pitch shots, chip shots, even on full swings when you have an 8-iron and you have little room to work with, you carrying the ball over the bunker, stopping it on the dot, you're adding that scooping action to put a lot of backspin on it, to add loft on the ball so it goes higher and lands soft and stops really quickly. Scooping is absolutely necessary to be able to control that golf ball spin. So ignore the casting, but we know what it is. Ignore the flipping, but we know what it is. We have to learn to release correctly and scoop correctly. So the two skills, if you get the two skills down, you are all set and you should be able to play with your golf ball, put spin on it as much as you want, hit it next to the flag as much as you want. So here's the Aimeefied drill. Okay, I learned this during my junior years when I was really trying to break scratch. So skill absolutely necessary to have a full control over your club face. So you're gonna go ahead and line up 4 golf balls like this. I have my lob edge 58 degrees and I'm going to chip alternating a hook chip and a scoop chip. So hook is, you know, with the chip shots, you don't usually release your toe the same way as a full swing. So when you do that, it's gonna put a slight hook spin to it. So that's why I call it the hook chip, but it's really not because you're not flipping. So we're gonna go hook chip versus scooping chip. So a hook, see how that toe rolled over? And then a scoop. You see how that leading edge was facing to the sky instead of to the ground? So a release and a scoop. Completely different, right? A hook, a scoop. That's a release. That's a scoop. If you're not used to releasing correctly and you're used to casting, now you really have to kind of sometimes exaggerate, feel like a flip, except make sure you kind of flip and make sure the toe is pointing to the right corner of the net or the driving range. So you go boom, that's a release. Boom, that's a scoop. Boom, that's a release. This was my best drill to have a perfect understanding of how my wrist should move, and I was able to master the scooping and releasing at the same time and really get rid of this casting motion. So that was an Aimeefied drill. If you want to have a full grasp, we talked about casting, releasing, flipping, scooping. But out of those 4, we're just gonna scratch out casting or flipping because we don't need to know those. We cannot be doing those. So we're only working on 2 things, releasing and scooping, to really enhance control of that club face and the spin on the golf ball. How did it go, guys? I showed you 4 different wrist actions: casting, releasing, flipping, and scooping. So through that chip shot alternating drill, I'm going to definitely be looking forward to you guys controlling that release and scooping like that. Thank you so much for golfing with me today. You have been Aimeefied. See you in the next one. Mwah.